Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1995 Suzuki Wagon R. Up front is a 0.6 liter inline 3 turbo, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Wagon R for many reasons, but mainly the fact that this is a strange K car imported from Japan, and it has a lot of intricacies that make me scratch my head in only the best way possible. So I'm excited to share all of that with you here today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Nomad Imports up here in Flint, Michigan for allowing me to borrow their Wagon R. If you'd like to browse their amazing inventory, you could do so with the link found in the description below. But let's get back to that 660cc inline 3 turbo. Well, this is known as the F6A engine, and it's actually a single overhead cam turbo, which is kind of weird. Now, it is 660 cc's because that is the limit for the K vehicles, spelled K-E-I in Japan. Basically, this is a whole classification of smaller cars that come with like tax benefits and whatnot, but they're basically mini cars sold over there in Japan. Now, it does have a turbo. Turbo K cars are some of my favorite vehicles to drive. So let's do a little Michigan left here. You get a little bit of induction noise. You do get that turbo noise. You're not going anywhere crazy fast, doing about 50. Yeah, it's not fast, but it was never supposed to be. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed manual. It feels absolutely wonderful to shift. Great shifter feel, great feedback, easy clutch. However, I'll talk about why it's also not an easy clutch at the same time. And last but not least, this is all-wheel drive. It has independent front suspension, but a solid rear axle out at the back. Very, very odd setup here for the Wagon R. So how does it feel to drive the Wagon R? Well, a couple of things. First of all, you're tiny, so you got to keep that in mind, but the steering is nice and light, visibility is great, shifter feel wonderful, power good for what it is. What's the downside? What's the catch? The catch is the pedals. They are pretty high up and kind of close to you, so you can't really rest your foot on the floor. Like normally you drive like with your pedal on the floor and you kind of hinge. You can't really do that here in the Wagon R, and that's actually typical of a lot of other K vehicles. The Honda Acti K truck and Subaru Sandbar, they're the exact same way. You kind of have to float your foot while driving, which can get really uncomfortable pretty quickly. So that's why I say the clutch is also not easy, because hitting it, you have to float your foot on and off the clutch. You can't rest it anywhere to kind of give you leverage or anything, so it's just a little bit more of an awkward driving feel than more traditional vehicles. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is the speedometer, and off to the right is my fuel and coolant temperature. The steering wheel just says Suzuki, no airbags here, the different rules in Japan. And off to the right, we do have a climate vent, but then we have some interesting buttons. So we have the lock and unlock for the rear cargo hatch. Very nice to see that in a K car. Rear defrost, rear wiper, as well as rear wiper sprayer, and we do have our fog light switch. Moving out of the door, not only do we have this fun, amazing pattern on the door, absolutely love this, so 90s, so retro, but we also have power windows. Again, something pretty rare to find in a K car. Were power windows because they wanted to save weight, they wanted to save money. So most of them have crank windows, but this actually has the upgraded power. Moving into the center, we do get an aftermarket radio, 2 climate vents, and the climate controls. This is outfitted with AC, which has been nice to experience. We have a little cubby and an ashtray and cigarette lighter. No real major center console here, and then we have the shifter. The shifter feels and looks very economical, very budget, very cost-oriented. So I don't love it, but of course you could switch that out. And then we have the parking brake, which I had to keep making sure wasn't on, because it does sit very high up in the off position, and this is so you can easily reach it from the higher up seat, but still kind of weird. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any native cup holders here in the Wagon R, so unfortunately, yet incredibly predictably, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Now, the seats have the same pattern as the doors. Absolutely love this. Such a fantastic fabric, and honestly, they are very comfortable. You don't often find this in K cars, but the actual foam, the material in which they used, feels great, super soft, super plush. As soon as I got into the Wagon R, I said, wow, this is a great seat. And again, that's just harder to find in this classification of car. K cars are normally pretty bare bones and basic, so it's definitely cool to see. Now, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, which I have a feeling will be a little bit cramped. So let's go do a backseat review. Now, something interesting is that the Wagon R has a back door on this side, but not on the other side, much like the Hyundai Veloster, but of course flipped because the driver's side and passenger side are flipped for Japan because right-hand drive. Once we are back here, these seats might as well be chiseled out of Plymouth Rock itself. They are horribly hard, very unfriendly. However, all the way off to the right where a door would be, I get a huge storage pocket, which is very nice. Would I like to ride back here across the entire length of Japan? No, I would not like to do that. However, I could do it because I do physically fit. My knees are touching the seat in front of me, but my head is nowhere near the ceiling. I can fit almost 2 fists above my head. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. So that is very nice to see. And I do get a door on the passenger side here, which is very nice. But again, for structural rigidity, for safety, for many reasons, there's no door on this side. So the seats are hard. They're not very friendly, but that's okay. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about a hidden cargo space after that. All right, around the back of the Suzuki Wagon R, we have this big chunky button and lift up this whole rear tailgate. Now, once we are around the back, honestly, pretty good amount of space. Really like to see that, and we do have these handles here so we can let down the rear seats. Now, I have my seat back a little bit further than normal, so that's why that didn't go back up, or go down, I should say. But just come around here, open up this side door. There you go, right back up into place. Nothing really too crazy otherwise. I do like this floor matting. It does say Suzuki. It's very hard to read, but you can see Suzuki. And this is like a very nice, thick foam. So really like to see all of that. But I know you're all on the edge of your seat for the hidden compartment. So we'll close this up, come around to the passenger side, open this up, and then you'll see on the passenger seat, there's this little tab. Pull this, and you get a big storage bin. Now, you're looking at the storage bin, and you're saying, Zach, that's great and handy, but what if I went to Aldi and I forgot my quarter to put in for the shopping cart? Well, no worries, my friend, because this actually comes out and can be used as a shopping cart bag thing, a shopping basket, if you will. That is absolutely wonderful. Suzuki really thought of everything. When you're done with it, put it right back in, fold it forward. There's even a little clip for the handle. Put it back down like this. They have found something to do with every square inch of this car. They made every square inch of this car very helpful. That is a really unique feature that I think is so cool. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I think it's adorable. There is a length, width, and height restriction for the K-car classifications, and you can see that the Wagon R is trying to get every little bit of real estate it can. It has very hard edges. It fills in that box very well, and maximizes its space, of course, as you saw with the passenger seat cubby. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Suzuki Wagon R. Well, I love this little thing. It does so many things really well. It's fun to drive, it has a turbo, it's all-wheel drive, it has a funky cool interior, it has plenty of space, it has all these little cubbies for space, there's nuts on the doors and hidden cubbies for all of your goodies. This thing is packaged incredibly well. This is a masterclass on interior vehicle packaging. They have absolutely maximized anything that can be a storage spot is a storage spot here in the Wagon R, and I applaud Suzuki's engineers for finding every nook and cranny that they could. I like seeing that, and it really feels like Suzuki did all that they could. They gave it their all, and that's very nice. It's also fun to drive. The manual is great. The all-wheel drive system is good for inclement weather. This is a very complete package. Now, I do understand why we can't have these in the United States. This against the Hummer H1, the Hummer H1 is going to win, but Japan doesn't have as big of cars natively as we do. They don't have as long stretching roads that we have in Arizona and Idaho and Montana. So cars don't have to sustain their speed for such long times, and there's a lot slower speed collisions. Not that high speed collisions don't happen in Japan, but they happen less. And so they are able to own vehicles like this and produce vehicles like this because that's less of a risk. It's a different cultural world that a person might be driving in. So it's sad because this is what we actually need here in America. We need small, economical cars that are fun and interesting to buy, but don't take up as much space and don't take up as much fuel. But unfortunately, this is the forbidden fruit, and that's why it's fun to review K cars, is because we can't get them until they're 25 years old, and then they're imported as a classic vehicle, and there's certain guidelines that they still have to follow, but we can get them at least. So I'm happy to be driving this Suzuki Wagon R here today in America, where they might be needed most. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nomad Imports here in Flint, Michigan for letting me borrow their Suzuki Wagon R. They are absolutely wonderful. They always have very cool, very interesting inventory. Please go check out their link down in the description below if you are looking for an imported car, or if you want a specific car, they can go out to the auctions and find it for you, bring it to the States, and give you that lovely American title. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.